Moving to Dubai will make you rich. And before I tell you how and why, let me tell you about my story of making the move here and the impact that it's had on my life since. So I moved just over a year ago from London, UK. I'm sure the accent gives it away. And at that time, I'd built a really successful career in sales leadership. So I've been in software my whole life, been in the top 1% of earners in the UK. And as much as there's a number of things I value about the UK, because I spent my whole life there, I knew that I was destined for more. But it's difficult sometimes to actually be able to visualize what more you could be doing in life when you're not actually surrounded by more. So I grew up in southeast London, but I eventually moved to Canary Wharf, which is the financial district of London, because I knew that that's where a lot more of the heavy hitters were. So when I made that move, it was phenomenal because I was around some real prolific players. I was around people earning big sums of money, thinking bigger, acting and operating bigger. And so overall, my life started to head in a much better direction. The thing is, I knew then after 3 years living there that I still had so much more in the tank. But again, it was hard to see because I knew I could only go as far as my environment would show me, right? Because ultimately, if I could only see people earning a certain amount, living a certain way, that would end up being the ceiling of my very own potential as well. And so I remember this fateful day. I was on Instagram taking a little look through and a post came up to attend a mastermind by someone called William Brown. I'm really pleased I can call a friend now. And he was hosting a mastermind here in Dubai. And the tickets were £12,000. So it's about $15,000. And he had one person drop out, which meant it was pretty much, well, it was sold out, but he had one person drop out, so he had one ticket left. Now, this was on only a few days' notice. And so I was in this situation where I had a decision to make. Either just continue as I was in London or jump on a plane with this expense on super short notice. Now, it was ironic because I asked a couple of people within my family, what do they think I should do? And they heard the amount for the ticket. And immediately, what do you think they said? That's crazy. How could you spend that amount of money for a 3-day event? It doesn't make any sense. And I started to think to myself, I'm taking advice on a situation from people as much as they love me aren't where I want and need to be in my life. So I had to look at the source of that information. Either way, I decided to go. And it was that one decision that ended up fundamentally changing my life. And the reason for that is because I remember the first day I was there. I'm sitting next to a 25-year-old whose business is doing $1 million per month at about 60% profit margin. So you think about this. I'm a young man who's grown up in Croydon in southeast London, where I remember at a point in my life earning 60,000 a year would have been a huge accomplishment. Then 100,000 a year would have been a huge accomplishment. Now I'm here in Dubai, sitting next to someone younger than me who's earning $1 million per month. I had never been in a room or in a situation where I was surrounded in that way by people achieving at that type of level. And so it wasn't only him doing the $1 million per month, but I was also surrounded by several others where probably the average income was at least 100,000 per month in that room. There were a couple of newcomers, but mass majority were in and around that kind of level of wealth. And so all of a sudden, I've got this huge paradigm shift now where I'm starting to see that there's so much more in this world that can be achieved. There's so much more that I have in the tank because as I'm around these individuals, you can check out the backdrop here. As I'm around these individuals, I can see and know that they're no more talented than me. They're not got anything more than I have in terms of skill set, intellect. But the one thing that they had done is change their environment. They'd made a different decision about what they were capable of achieving, and they pulled the plunge and decided to bet on themselves and back themselves. And this was something that I hadn't yet done. And so from that day, that very first day, I knew something had to change, because I knew I'd been wanting to emigrate and move country for a long, long time, but I never had the courage to pull the trigger. I was always reliant on people around me that hadn't gotten to where I wanted to get to in life, and I was reliant on them for decision making and for helping me to unlock the next phase of growth. I'm really thinking about what it was that I was going to want and what it was that I was going to need to unlock my next phase of growth. But now I was in a room with people who had achieved things that I wanted to achieve, had gone and taken the path that I wanted to take. And I was able to sit with them, learn from them, understand, and realize, again, there was so much more in the tank for me. So with that said, after a great 3 days, and I definitely recommend, if you don't know William Brown, check out his content, check out his stuff. Fantastic guy, good friend of mine. He put on a phenomenal 3 days, but the biggest thing I got from it wasn't the education around how to build a business of that nature. It was the paradigm shift. It was the fact that I realized that being in Dubai gave me a complete paradigm shift around what it is that I could achieve, about what it is in terms of where I could go in my life, and how I could go about setting a completely new standard for myself, my family, and those around me. So I came back and I instantly made the decision I had to move here. I had to come to Dubai because I realized what it did for my mindset, and I realized that it helped me to see that there's truly no limits in terms of what can be achieved in this world. So I made the commitment, and then it was only a matter of months later, I was on the plane, bags packed, and I made the move. It's been the best decision of my life, bar none. Ever since I've been here, my health has improved significantly, my wealth has improved significantly, the nature of my overall relationships has improved significantly, and overall, my life satisfaction, I can't even put on a scale, especially compared to how things used to be. I have to wake up every day, and in many cases I pinch myself, because I have to ask myself, is this actually life? Is this really what my life has become? Because I feel so blessed. And the crazy thing is, it's only been 1 year. So there's so much more to achieve, so much more to do. And we're only at the very, very beginning. I'm here surrounded by, you can see in the background, the palm. These houses here behind me worth anywhere from 5 to 10 to $20 million. Some of them even significantly more than that. So how can you not be in an environment like this and realize that you have so much more that you can achieve, so much more that you can do? Sure. I'm blessed to be able to live on the palm, and so I'm able to experience this and feel this air every single day. But life did not start out this way for me. Early in life, it wasn't easy. I'm not saying I had the hardest upbringing, but it definitely wasn't privileged, that's for sure. And I'm sure I'll talk a bit more about that in a future video. But what I came to realize is you can really hack growth in your life. You can actually hack the next phase or the next evolution in your life of whatever it is that you want to achieve or whatever it is that you want to do. And the best way to hack it is to simply change your environment. Because by changing your environment, you change your paradigm, you change your network. And we often hear the saying about you end up becoming the sum total of the 5 or 10 people that are closest to you. Just look in your phone book, your most recent 5 dials, that'll let you know who those people are. And it's so true, because what I came to realize is early in life, during those formative years, you're primarily surrounded by family, eventually people in your peer group at your schools, and they end up shaping your reality. They end up shaping what you feel is possible and achievable in your life. And so if you've only ever been surrounded by people who have only achieved a certain amount or got to a certain point in your life, that ends up becoming your perceived standard in your mind around what it is that you can achieve and what it is that you can do. But the very moment you start to surround yourself with others who have gone further, who have pushed further, who have making bigger decisions, making bigger moves, all of a sudden, you're now in a situation where you start to realize there's so much more that you can achieve. And so, especially with time and age, if I was looking back now, the best decision I could have made would have been to do this earlier, do this sooner, as early as possible, change my environment to get around people who would help to push me to the next level, who would motivate me to get to the next level, and who would help me to see and understand that there's so much more that can be achieved and should be achieved in this world. And so what I would say is to anyone who's on the fence about a potential move to Dubai, if you know you're hungry, you're ambitious, you're driven, you back yourself, and you believe that you're capable and destined for more, there's no better place in the world to be than here. There really isn't. There's nowhere else with as much success, affluence, and overall a place that is going to push and encourage you in the same way like Dubai will to really unlock the next phase of your potential. It's really changed the way that I look at money. It's changed the way that I look at affluence, because every day you're surrounded by greatness. You're surrounded by people who are truly pushing the envelope, seeking to do and achieve more from their lives. And they're willing to put in the work to get themselves to a position where they can unlock that next level in their life. So if any of that resonates with you, I couldn't recommend any more to just make the leap, because I would say that the greatest risk in your life is actually not taking risk. It's actually living in comfort and not putting yourself in a situation where you're willing to take the steps that you need to take in order to unlock your next phase of growth. So don't wait. Don't do what I did. Make the decision, commit to it, and then push yourself every single day to truly unlock what you know you're capable of. I hope this video has been helpful. If anyone's got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll leave my socials in the description box, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.